الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحرموا طيبات ما أحل الله لكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين وكلوا مما رزقكم الله حلالا طيبا واتقوا الله الذي أنتم به مؤمنون. صدق الله العظيم. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning the transgressions of the Jewish community, which is tafrit, and then after that mentions the Christian community and something praiseworthy about them, that they were humble and they had among them qissisin and ruhban, the scholars and the monks who were dedicated themselves to the deen, even in a sort of fabricated way. So it might be understood that that praise was for the monasticism that they had, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Hadid, وَرُحْبَانِيَةً ابْتَدَعُوهَا مَا كَتَبْنَاهَا عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ فَمَا رَأَوْهَا حَقَّ رِعَايَتِهَا. So they had actually placed that on themselves. They had made that incumbent on themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't order them to observe celibacy, not to marry, didn't order them to leave, all types of things which otherwise were halal, but that was something that they themselves sort of going in excesses towards abstinence from the world. And abstinence of the world, of course, is praiseworthy. To be disconnected from the world and not to be attracted to it and desire it is praiseworthy. But to make something which is halal haram is not praiseworthy, it's blameworthy. In fact, it is haram itself. So to something which is definitely halal and you proclaim that it's haram, that is in fact kufr, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says halal. So making something haram which is halal is as serious as making something halal which is haram. So either way, because the deen is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders, not what we concoct from our own intelligence. So abstinence of the world and not going head over heels in pursuing it and acquiring it, of course, is praiseworthy. However, we are not to consider things which are halal to be haram. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that the misunderstanding that in fact even some of the Sahaba, because of their exceeding love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the life of the hereafter, some of them said, okay, we are going to leave women and we're going to leave eating meat, because when they eat the meat then they get more excited and their desires sort of increase. And so they said, okay, we're going to leave that. In fact, some of them wanted to become castrated so that they would forget about it altogether. So when Nabi alayhi salam heard about this, he called him and said, no, this is not the case. This is not to be done. He said, I myself, I'm the most muttaqi of all of you, and I eat of these things, and I also marry women, and those who desire other than my sunnah, then they are not from me. So if we desire other than the sunnah of Rasulullah, then we are not from his followers truly. Of course, he didn't go head over heels in these things, and he was also quite abstinent in his practices. But if meat was available, he would eat it. And of course, as he himself said, that the most dear things to him in this world, the worldly things, were women and perfume and the kunnas of his eye was in salat. So these are the tayyibat which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called good things. So good things don't make them unlawful. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya alladhina amanu la tuharrimu tayyibati ma ahallallahu lakum. Don't make, oh you people of belief, don't make haram, don't make unlawful good things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made legal for you. Yes, in don't go into excesses in them, but don't consider them haram. Don't go, overboard in using them, but definitely don't consider them to be unlawful. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, and don't transgress. So transgressing could be either way. Going overboard in tayyibat, that's not good. And a bigger transgression would be to consider those tayyibat haram. Inna Allah la yuhibbul mu'tadin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't love the transgressors. وَكُلُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Eat what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you in terms of rizq and sustenance, which is halal and tayyib, halalan tayyiban. And we probably mentioned this in other places. Halal is one thing, tayyib is another dimension. So halal, if it's mentioned alone, then it would be halal and tayyib. If tayyiban is mentioned alone, it would also include halal. So halal basically, when the two are mentioned together, halal would infer that it is legal, right? And tayyib would mean that it's beneficial, it's wholesome, it's delicious, it's good for you, and so forth. So eat those things. So that's the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kulu, order. So does that mean we have to eat and eat and eat? No, eat to the extent that it is necessary and eat to the extent that it is moderate. Don't go overboard in excess either way. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي أَنْتُمْ بِهِ مُؤْمِنُونَ, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, adapt taqwa, whom you are indeed the believers of Him. So believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by adopting taqwa, by observing His orders and abstaining from His prohibitions, and don't go into excesses. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. Ameen. Ameen.